Let's talk about projection. Let's try to understand that a little bit. Let go of all of your thoughts for just a second and imagine that you are a beam of light and you're stationary. So you're right here and you're a beam of light. The idea of projection is then like the reel of a cinema. Let me explain. You're the light beam. Whatever comes in front of that light beam as a natural phenomenon of physics gets projected onto the screen of existence, the screen of samsara. So the real is essentially our life, everybody's lives, and we think that we are the real. We're not the real. We are the consciousness. We're the light that I said in the beginning, the light beam. I'm a light beam. I'm stationary. And then there is this circular reel that's going on and 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 on. And at any point in time, there's always something that is getting illuminated because there's always some part of that reel that is coming in contact with the light beam. And when that part of the reel comes in contact with the light beam, it gets projected onto the screen. Now that's like a very rudimentary yet radical explanation for projection, because our psyches cannot grasp it, because we have programmed and patterned ourselves to understand existence from the point of view of something that is moving consistently in a linear direction, because in our heads we are born and then we grow up into adolescence and then we grow up into adults and so on and so forth. Life goes. It's linear. And there's no denying that existence feels like it's a straight road and we're walking down it, but that's not what it is. We as human beings project from a place of unawareness. That's the general way of life. It's the general way of life. Because think of it, if we were aware enough to consciously choose and decide what it is that we want to project on, we would then be really powerful beings, manifestor beings, creator beings. And for some reason, the society has propelled us towards an existence and beliefs that are very narrow, destructive, makes an individual soul feel like there's no power in their hands to do absolutely anything, that we are just puppets, unaware, unconscious puppets, moving along the linearity of life without really knowing what it is that we want, what it is that we need, what it is that we're doing. This lack of self-awareness results in unconscious projections. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is simply the ability to know your inner space, your inner motivations, to know, really know where your happiness lies, what are your true desires, without the adulteration of societal norms and expectations. Self-awareness is the key to changing our perception of the world. Self-awareness is that immensely powerful tool through the practice of which you can illuminate the darkest of worlds for yourself, inside yourself. That's why it's so important to talk about this, to feel into this. More important than talking about this is feeling into it. With practice, we can create prolonged spaces within ourselves where we can then observe, witness ourselves, witness our thoughts, witness what we're thinking, witness what kind of thoughts we're surrounding ourselves with. The simple observation of how we are living, existing, breathing in every moment inculcates self-awareness. In every moment, there is an opportunity to stop an external projection, which is what we're programmed to do, trained to do, reinforced to become every single moment existing on this planet. Who's going to teach us to sit down, come into our own being, come into our own selves and really observe and witness what's going on inside, who's going to teach us that? Who's going to illuminate that aspect of existence for us, where we can then really examine what's going on and then choose and be responsible projectors, so we can create more joy, create more space, create more happiness, more satisfaction, abundant gratitude. You see, our inner spaces are directly correlated to the kind of unconscious projections we cause on the screen of our existence. And so, self-awareness is the key to illuminate that space, illuminate that inner space, the backstage, if you will. And when the backstage is illuminated, that projection becomes conscious, becomes illuminated, becomes alive, becomes wise, rather than being redundant and mired in suffering and mired in unconscious patterns, because there's total lack of self-awareness, and that's why it's called unconscious projection. In order to really understand the metaphysics of it, what's needed is the turning of the self inwards, the turning of the switch inwards. The projection of the light beam turns inwards into our psyche, into our inner space, into who we really are. Turn that light beam around, illuminate that space, see it for what it is. In Sanskrit, it's called anicca, which means detached, loving observation, being a witness, being an observer of your own self, of your own mechanism, of your own thought patterns. Isn't that something that is incredible? By practicing conscious self-awareness, we can create spaces in our psyches for conscious projections of happiness, of an illuminated world, of a world where people are not suffering and are not being oppressed, suppressed, tortured, raped, killed, murdered. These are all projections. These are unconscious projections of unhealed psyches that can only be healed through self-awareness, the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, illuminating those patterns that cause repeated acts of suffering, unconscious projections. We're definitely going to talk more about this because it's one of my most favorite topics to indulge in. Self-awareness is life's work, my life's work, your life's work. Everybody that is existing on this planet, it is their life's work to become self-aware. Let this be one of the many starter conversations, a stirrer, if you will, in your psyche, to create this ruffle, to create some kind of friction. We're gonna talk more about this because this is fun. This is what is needed. This kind of conversation, openness, and exploration. So let's get on this, make ourselves better, wiser, by understanding these nuances of existence and metaphysics a little bit better, by assimilating ourselves to a higher consciousness, by not existing anymore in those paradigms and structures which pull us down, which keep us vibrating on a lower level. We're the change makers. We're the shifters of consciousness.